So, okay, we're recording, and I should like make an introduction, I guess. I'm here with a stuffed wombat, which is not a wombat at all, which is kind of sad, actually, I think. But it's actually a very prolific game developer from Austria, which is actually called Josh Holland-Donner, I think.
Yes, yeah. How do you know that?
You feel seen because I made my homework.
Oh no, I'm uncovered.
it,
Yeah.
it was actually like really hard to like tell where the fuck you come from. Like you have it written on Newgrounds, I think, but I had to like make a big research.
You could have just asked. But yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Okay.
Yeah. It's funny because people message me like even inside of Austria, and I used to live in a different city, and I never tell when I move. So people keep thinking I'm in a different city than I actually live in all the time. Like still 3 years after I moved.
Where are you? What cities?
I live in Vienna now, and I used to
Cool.
live in Graz.
Oh, right. I'm gonna Google everything later.
Graz is the second biggest city, and Vienna is the biggest city, but Graz has probably the most organized game development scene in all of Austria. They have like a huge technology university.
Oh, that's really cool. I also live like in the second city of the country, which has not the biggest indie scene, but I would say the biggest art scene. Like we have a lot of music schools and shit. So yeah, it's like the Toronto or the Barcelona.
Yeah, it's always the thing. Like in Poland, it's the same. Like nobody does art in Warsaw, or I guess some people do, but it's much more in the other city, which name I forgot. It seems to be like also Galway in Ireland. Like it's like a very small city, but they have like all of the artists.
What the
It's never
fuck?
the main city.
It's that I think that's really weird. Okay, so interview. I'm gonna start praising you. I'm gonna start praising you because yeah. Because I think your work is really inspiring. That's why I wanted to talk to you. Like you make small games. You're like an activist of small games, and you work with Construct, which is like it's not usually associated with commercial games. So I have like two kind of related questions. Like, where does this defense of the small game ideology come from? That's the first one.
It's from personal interest. It's not from altruism. I mean, I personally, I don't like to play games for a long time. I think there's only like a few games that I really played for a long time and that I also think of fondly. Like most of the games that I spend a lot of time with, I fucking hate, and I just get addicted to them. Like League of Legends is the big one, where I like in my late teenager years, I got completely addicted to League of Legends. And I hate it. It made me a horrible person. And then, yeah, like most games that I have are like endless or that are trying to keep you playing all the time. I think is kind of respectless and annoying. Like if I want to like if like I sometimes I rewatch all of the Harry Potter movies. And it takes like what 10, 12 hours. Like that's an average video game length to get like a huge story that spans many years and has like many different things. And in a video game, like 12 to 16 hours gets you maybe like the tutorial,
Oh my God.
or like maybe you can start to play competitively or something. I've had so yeah, small games defending because I think it's more interesting. There's more interesting stuff happening in the space. I think it's more affordable for people like me to make them. And I think it's more respectful of the time of people. Like you will not be able to be addicted, but you will be able to maybe take something very interesting from it.
I agree,
for the rest
like
of your
completely. Yeah, I agree completely. Yeah, I like really small games too because of that. I think games longer than a movie is like, oh my god, uh, why? I don't have the time.
I don't know. Like there's some games that are really huge, like Mountain Blade Warband. I have like 1,000 hours, but
Oh
I
my
think I conquered the whole continent on
god.
like easy difficulty. But it took it took so long. Um, but it's kind of in my control. It's like a game that's so huge and I can kind of control it. Like some games are fair in that, like Faster Than Life as well. No, Faster Than Light,
Yeah.
kind of as well. Like it's endless, but one run takes 1 hour, so you can kind of you do it on your own terms, and it doesn't try to make you addicted. I think I don't know.
Yeah, I have that with Outer Wilds, which is like my favorite game ever, and it
Yeah.
has this 22-minute runs, so you can just make it
That's
in.
a spoiler. That's a spoiler. You can't say that.
Oh no, everything is a spoiler. Yeah, but
I have
I think it
actually.
failed. I think it fails in not making you addicted because my last run was 17 hours straight until I finished it. So no, it totally make you addicted.
Yeah. Yeah, but at some point, like after 17 hours of League of Legends, you can go to sleep and you can do it again. You
Yes,
know.
yes, that's completely
So
true. No, I need games to finish and make me cry in the middle or something. And
I don't know. I have a hard time actually playing a lot of small games. Like it's not easy. I think for anyone to really seek those kind of games out and to actively play them. So I can understand if people say they don't like it because it's not. It takes like energy for me to be like, okay, now I play a game and I actually pay attention to it and try to like analyze it.
yeah.
It doesn't, it's not as relaxing as playing Farmville or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, completely. Like there are some times when you just want to make the same thing you already know how to do, or else people wouldn't play Pokemon, for example.
Yeah, or I wouldn't rewatch the Harry Potter movies for the 10th time.
Right, yeah. And about Construct, have you ever like received backslash for working with Construct? Because like I'm gonna quote unquote, it's not actually programming, and fuck that people that say that.
Sure. I mean, programmers, like people who are really into programming, they're often very specific about what they like and what they think is important and something like that. I've never had like backlash, like I've never had really people attacking me for it or something like that. More it's like, oh wow, you made this in visual scripting? That's pretty interesting. Like I didn't know it could do that. It's more like the other way around.
Oh,
Like
that's
like a kind of
nice.
positive insulting. um,
Okay,
I don't know,
that's
but it's
pretty
actually
wholesome.
used. It's actually used for like construct has been around for a long time. Baba is You is made in the original construct,
Oh my god.
and Mighty Goose, which just came out, is made in construct,
Yeah.
and Iconoclasts is also made in
Iconoclast, yeah.
construct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, there are more games
it's funny
usually.
because
Sorry, yeah?
yeah, sorry, it's like the games that come out that are made in construct, like Baba is You and stuff, they're mostly made by single people, or like primarily made by one person who has all the code in the hand because it's not so easy to collaborate to make like a GitHub setup or something.
Yeah,
But
I lived that thing, yeah.
yeah, we actually managed to pull it off. But I have like a construct professional, like really good coder that I worked with for Qomp,
Oh, nice.
who made all that possible. But yeah, it's funny. It seems like it's a kind of an engine for solo people.
Yeah.
From at least like from the stuff that comes out, it's always very very small teams.
Yeah, we are four. We are three actually on my team, for example. So yeah,
Yeah.
very very small.
Do you all work on the code, or is that like
No,
segmented?
no, we have one programmer, but I also know a little bit. So sometimes I will get into like for importing things and implementing stuff. But yeah, it's like hard because I have to work on the same project that he's working on, and I can't like I can't make a branch and touch things.
It is possible. Like we had that stuff for Qomp. It was kind of annoying. I can ask Clovel how he did that.
I'd be interesting, later. And about this thing about like being respectful to the player and the time of playing a game, etc. Are any of those things related to the way you published Qomp? Like you said that it didn't have any extra content and stuff like that.
Yeah, with the descriptions, it's related to the Steam ratings and therefore to sales, kind of. Where I talk, because it's about the refund rate, basically, this description, which is kind of aggressive about how short the game is.
Yeah.
Like for one, I just think it's kind of funny to be the opposite of like, oh wow, this has 200 characters, and I'm like, if I read that, I'm already tired.
I feel the same. It actually really convinced me of playing Qomp. Like, no, this is short and it doesn't have any extra content. Yes, I want this.
It's like so part of the reason for the description is that it's kind of funny and kind of like a statement for something that I think is important. But it's also, you just have to be really honest with the Steam descriptions. Because if you like, it's about the refund rate, because if you can finish the game under 2 hours, you can refund it.
Oh, right.
So you want to keep the refund rate very low. So to do that, you have to be very honest with the Steam description. Because if you just say directly what it is accurately, and it actually is what it says in the description, then people are much less likely to refund. So even if Qomp takes like maybe 90 minutes to play through on average, it has a 5% or less than 5% refund rate, which is average.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like a sales thing. You can see this like with Gutwhale, which has a worse description, which like the previous game I made.
Yeah, I played it.
Yeah, that one, the description for that one is not so clear and is not so direct. So it has a double, like it has 10% refund rate, which is not cool. So yeah, it's about being very direct and open and honest, and also I think it's funny to have this aggressive description.
I agree with it being really funny. And before going to Gutwhale, because I have a question about it, I have a more depth question, because fuck the gaming like audience. I have this question because I want to know it. Like in your general work, like you kind of subvert classical mechanics and you give them like a twist. And there's also like a lot of exploration of how to go through spaces, like the movement is a key thing. I want to know, how do you come up with these things, and like what's the thought process behind this weird shit you do?
So the subversion of stuff that I do sometimes, I don't think I do it as often as people give me credit for. Okay, so I post some GIFs on Twitter which has like interesting mechanics.
Yeah.
Or I used to do that. I used to do that a long time ago. I think I've kind of stopped. But I used to post all of these GIFs and mechanics, which is where most people know me from. Like these weird little GIFs on Twitter.
I saw those things before playing your games completely.
Yeah, of course. They are probably the reason that I sell any copies at all. Because people are interested in this. So that's nice. But like I was addicted to getting likes on Twitter for like 2 years or something. So I would really try really hard to make interesting GIFs make interesting mechanics, so that other game developers and people on the internet put a like in my Twitter. And that was really like a big priority for me. Like it gave me a lot of validation of feeling like, oh wow, what I'm doing is important. Like, wow, JW liked my tweet. Now I can go to sleep and I can be happy. And
I feel you so much.
And yeah, I don't know. I got good at figuring out loops, at like core loops of stuff, and figuring out how to transmorph, how to change them. And it's very cheap. Like you can get interesting mechanic or interesting movement very cheaply with just thinking about core loops for a long time. And then I don't know. It's just a skill where I'm like, okay, I want to learn how to make interesting movement mechanics because it gives the most likes. I'm like an algorithm. I'm like driven by likes on Twitter. What I learn.
And that's what I do. How do you choose, like, from all of those things? How do you know which one of them could become a game? Because many of those things didn't became games. They were just like gifts.
Yeah. This is all a very long story. So like maybe 3 years ago, I used to like just post GIFs on Twitter all the time and was thinking like, oh, if one of them gets many likes, I will make it into a game and I will get funding. I was very, very poor at the time. And I will be able to become a full-time game developer. And then it happened, and like one GIF went very viral, and I got a lot of opportunities. Like I got to talk to Devolver and to Raw Fury and stuff like that. And I couldn't do it. Like I didn't know how to turn the GIF I made into a whole game.
Oh god.
I didn't know how to. It was horrible. It was really bad. For like 3 months I was dead. Because I was like, how do I do this? People want this, right? Like people, like 13,000 people like it. So I have to make it. And I'm talking to the Devolver Scout, so I have to make a good prototype or whatever. And I just couldn't. It was impossible. It was a very, very complicated game. It was like Gorogoa.
Yeah.
But you control a platforming character inside of the panels. It was insanity. Like as a little sketch, it works really well, but as an actual game, it's fucking crazy to make. After that experience, of like one of them actually works, and I get the opportunities I wanted all the time, and then I cannot fulfill them, then I kind of just make them for fun. like for maybe a year after that, I still only want to get likes. So I'm thinking like, okay, how do I make a game like a GIF that will be funny? But then I also start to focus more on making games, which are maybe not as exciting. Like they never, like when I say, oh, I made a game, it gets like never as much likes as when I make a weird little GIF, but it's much more coherent and it's much more, it teaches a lot more to me. So when the original question was, how do I know which of the GIFs I turn into a game? The answer is, I don't want to turn them into games. It's right. Like it's like I do a little concept art for a game that will never exist, or I do a little sketch of a huge painting that I will not paint because I think just it's interesting.
And that's really nice. I love how we are all like dabbing into the same things, because like Jochen made that that manual for a game that doesn't exist with that same exploration, and we made together like a thing called platonic games, just a theory, but it was like exactly that, like the game you imagine when you see a trailer or a concept art, and the game is in your head, and that game is amazing, but the game doesn't exist. And
it's I don't know, it's like sometimes I have an idea and then I just have to get it out of my head, and then the way to get it out of my head is to put it on Twitter. And that, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes that still happens, and then I make a GIF, but I think like what it creates for me is a kind of attention for myself, which was good, like positive for me. Like I get jobs and stuff from it, but it also is fake. It's not real. It's not the thing I actually want to do. It's like a stage show is, like a it's like I put on crazy clothes and go into a cafe and pretend I'm an artist. Of course, like people maybe think I'm an artist because I dress like a crazy person, but I will not actually make any art.
Yeah,
I
I
will
get
just
it.
like that's the feeling I have with that stuff.
I get it. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I'm moving to Gutwell. That was like the other question. I played it. I played it, and I thought it was insanely hard.
Yes.
Like I couldn't beat the second screen. I'm really bad.
Yeah.
I would try to
No,
because it's really fun, but
don't.
it's don't you say I don't.
No, I mean don't worry about it. It's insane. It's not. It's yeah. It's yeah, okay. Sorry. Yeah. Ask the question.
Okay.
I was just gonna start talking.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I think. Well, yeah. That I thought it was really hard, and I thought, okay, I wanna know the ending because I remember you told about the ending on the Eggplant show, and I thought, oh, okay, I'm gonna just turn on some accessibility options, and it doesn't have any. And like
It doesn't have anything.
And Qomp it's challenging, but it also has a lot of accessibility options. So why did you make the choice? I think there are no other games of yours that have those options. It's a part of Qomp.
Yeah. The main reason is that Gutwell was made in a single month, and
You're
we were
right.
just crazy. There was like the code. It's crazy that it even runs. To be honest, like I mean, it's really insane. Like it it does some really stupid shit all of the time. So that it even works is a miracle to me. Why it doesn't have accessibility option is one is just time. Like there was no time to do that. Like we also cut a lot of other. We had to like remove a lot of stuff from the game to get it done. And the second reason is that I didn't think about it. It was not something I was aware of that much. Like I think at that time Celeste, and Celeste kind of kickstarted that whole accessibility options thing. And I mean, I guess I knew about it, but I never really considered it important.
And why did
so that's why it doesn't.
And why did you consider it important for Qomp?
Mix of reasons, because what I like, part of the reason is probably Gutwhale, because like half of the people tell me like oh no, it's way too hard, like I can't beat whatever, it's like crazy, and it's kind of frustrating for them. So I was thinking that that's kind of stupid. That just because I balanced the game wrong, or because it's like a very arcade experience for a specific set of people. Basically, it's like Downwell fan fiction. I think that is maybe the best description. And Downwell is very hard as well. But then like people come to me and they're like, yeah, I couldn't play it. Like I just literally couldn't get into it, and that's very stupid. That I like gatekeep the stuff, because the ending of Gutwhale is what I think is really interesting, or like what was important. Doesn't mean it's actually interesting. It was just important to me. And then nobody could engage with it because it was just locked behind the difficulty thing. So one reason was the Gutwhale thing. Another reason was probably that I actually read up on the accessibility stuff and like how good it is. And then when I read about that, I also have the direct example of a game without accessibility options. And like I work on Qomp for like 4 years, and during that time I always do exhibitions, and I watch a lot of people play like earlier versions of the game.
Right.
And it was Like every time I make a new level and I go to a show, it's way too hard. It's so fucking hard for people, and I just see them struggle and I feel horrible. And then accessibility options is just the perfect solution to that problem. Like if I fuck up the difficulty progression, then I can just save myself and I can like save the enjoyment of the game for other people. If I just put in an option to be like, yeah, whatever, let's move on. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I had
But,
like
but like accessibility was put in relatively late into Qomp, I have to say. Like it wasn't planned from the beginning. It was not like a conscious decision. I guess at some point it just like all of the positive arguments just became too much, and we set aside a week or something to get it done. But
cool.
it, like yeah, it was not some big altruistic choice. It's just something that made sense at some point.
You had a hell of an adventure trying to publish Qomp. Like that talk is amazing. Like a series of unfortunate events. And you tried to make it on your own for a lot of time. Why did you change your mind and made it with a team? And how did you assemble the team?
Because I realized I cannot make music, and I cannot make art. Like for the majority of development, the game was just completely abstract. Like right now, it's pretty abstract, but there are a lot more details because Miroko did a great job. Right?
Yeah, the graphics are amazing.
Yeah, he did a wonderful job. Like if if I wouldn't have worked with a team, it wouldn't have been finished, because that's what I realized during Gut Whale. I think that I simply cannot draw. I simply cannot. Like I have a visual sensibility. Like I can decide what I think looks good and what doesn't, and how something like should look. I can describe that pretty accurately, but I cannot execute on it myself. And the same with music. Like I only made one good piece of music in my life, and I haven't been able to get that mojo back. So, like making Gut Whale probably was like, okay. And no, before that, even making Ord was like, okay, so if there's someone who can actually code well, then I don't need to worry about it, and I can focus on this much more important stuff, for me at least, and get that working better. And yeah, it's just kind of insane to make a game alone. It's possible, but as we've seen with Iconoclast, it takes a long time.
Yeah.
And I don't have a lot of time.
Oh yeah, feel you. Oh, fair. And how did you meet those people? How did you decided to work with them?
How did I? Okay, so Britt Brady, who did the sound effects and the music, we've just been talking. He does this thing, like he's the founder of Doinksoft, and he just helps people. He's a nice guy. So he made sound effects and music for one of my friends, for Salman, for one of his games. I think the game was Bubun. Bubun.
Oh, I don't know.
I think it's called. Um, and I just asked him if he would be interested to do sound effects for Gut Whale. And he said yes, and he's great. And so then afterwards, I was like, oh shit, he's so good to work with, and he does such good work that, and he was like interested to work with me again after Gut Whale. So that was like, I think the first person I recruited for Qomp was Miroko. Like pretty much 1 year before we actually started working on the game with funding, we made a pitch deck together for the game, like to pitch it to publishers.
Right.
And he said he was going to help me, and then he was also going to do the art, because he made like the pitch deck, and we just decided we were going to do it together. Pretty much 1 year before we finally got the funding to do it. And Cloveld, the coder, is just a friend from the internet. who has come in at the last minute for Cutwhale and saved our save game functionality, basically. So, and then I realized like what a good fucking coder he is and like how fast he is. And he was also interested in working again. So we just,
Right.
just people I know. I don't know.
It's really cool. So basically, Qomp exists because of Godwale, basically, like for a lot of reasons.
In some ways, yes. In some way, Qomp almost didn't exist because of Cutwhale. Because I made, like I said before, we were making the pitch deck, and I was talking. I think I can say absolutely nothing. I signed too many NDAs, but what I can say is that we were talking with people about a lot of money in funding for Qomp, and I got extremely scared because it was so much money, and like I would have to actually become a professional and like start a company and stuff. And then, in order to not have to think about that, I made Qomp with the team. I made Cutwhale. Sorry, not Qomp.
Yeah,
I made
yeah.
Cutwhale with the people, and then I waited too long, and then the money didn't happen. Yeah.
Oh, I get it. Yeah, it's like a weird feeling when you like dream about something, but that thing it's safe because it's just a dream, and when you actually have to face it, it's like, oh my god, so scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. I completely feel you.
It's horrible. I don't want to. I don't know. I cannot deal well with money. It's like with art. Like I can visualize that I want to have a lot of it, but I cannot execute on it.
Yeah, but I think it's beside of only money, like in general. I don't know. I remember like big jobs I had, and I went touring with a music spectacle, and it was like something that I was dreaming, like, oh, do you imagine like being in another countries? And when I had to like actually buy the flight ticket, I had like my first panic attack of my life because oh my god.
Yeah. yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah.
It's really bad. It kind of it's shitty because when you talk about this with people who have not had the luck to come so close to the dream, it's always impossible to explain.
Yeah, and you feel
like,
bad.
Why? This is what you wanted. What are you doing? And you're like, oh my god.
Yeah, and you feel like bad. I remember I couldn't talk to anyone because I was feeling so scared, so amazingly scared, but I couldn't talk to anyone because everyone would be like, but you're going to Europe. Why are you scared of? You should be happy, and you don't understand.
Yeah, it's like
yeah.
It's a good problem. But it's a good problem, but it's still a big problem.
It's still a big problem, yeah. First world problems. Okay, so last question is the future. I guess I cannot ask you about the thing you're working on that I have seen, but nobody has seen besides our server. So
I mean, it depends on when this is gonna come out.
I don't know, in a week when I finish like translating.
Yeah.
No, I guess it can still be.
I mean, you can. It's fine. Whatever. Like I have to. Like I talked to like a friend indirectly let me know that I'm an idiot for not talking about the game and that I should talk about it. So fuck it. Let's just talk about it if you want.
Yeah, sure. If you want, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you like? Want to pitch it? I can I have the scoop? I will have the scoop. Oh my god.
It's okay. I don't want to reveal it. I should, but I don't want to talk. Okay, no. What? Like, okay. I will not give extreme specifics, but I will say it's a weird visual novel based on Snatcher, which is a game from the 80s. and
Cool.
it doesn't have any music right now, but I'm making everything myself, and I'm doing like everything besides the music and sound effects. I'm gonna do myself. So I'm gonna like what I've been doing for the last weeks is making collages of royalty-free assets and then scaling them down to really low-resolution images that look pretty interesting, I'd say, or very spooky. I don't know. It
I
has a
really like
weird
them.
vibe to it.
I really, really like them.
Thanks. Yeah, yeah. I like it's so great because like I've also like developed a fake engine. I don't know how to describe this, but like inside of Construct, I've made my own framework
Oh my God.
that is based on physical collision between objects. Like it's like a bunch of collision checks between like objects that I lay down on a grid, and those collision checks determine what gets printed in the visual novel. So I'm not only like writing it, I'm also building it like a little mosaic of little blocks
Oh my God.
that like move stuff around. It's pretty crazy. It's very I've never done this before where I like develop technology. Like it's like a weird abstract meta technology, but it's super interesting. And then when I get tired of coding that shit, like right now it's like basically all done. Um, but if like sometimes I have to like go back in there and add some functionalities. And when I get tired of that, I can flesh out some scenes or some puzzles that I've written. And if I feel that a scene is like kind of done, then I just put it in a pile. And when I'm really feeling like I can't think really well, then I just go to the royalty-free picture store and download a bunch of pictures and make a new background or a new character or something. It's like it's the most fun I've had developing a game, I think, ever. It's like great. It's yeah, it's so much fun.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Okay, and the last one. Are you organizing 10MG games again?
We talked about it in the chat. I don't think it will happen. Like I
Oh
cannot
no.
speak for the collective, I think. No, I mean I cannot speak for the collective. My last information is that we were all technically interested, but all also busy.
Right.
And there is like we have a huge Excel file of people who were interested in participating in the next one if it was ever gonna happen.
Yeah, I was going to ask like if I can join,
Yeah.
for example, because I would love to.
Yeah. It's personally I still feel bad about how like because when 10MG was like getting wrapped up, I was starting Qomp and I wasn't there as much as I should have been.
Hmm.
Which was super shit. So for me, the whole project, like the whole thing, is it reminds me a lot of my personal failure, and like personally, I don't want to start pushing it if I can't be there for it 100%, and I cannot right now.
Yeah, I get it.
So I'm not pushing for it because I don't want to abandon it again. Yeah,
That's
I don't know. Like the last year, it happened in the span of like 3 months from like start to end.
yeah,
So I guess
which
yeah,
is
like pretty much 1
amazing.
year ago we started the organization. Um, maybe we could pull it off again, actually, or maybe other people could pull it off, and I don't have to disappoint everyone. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like,
But yeah, you feel like
yeah,
responsible, right, for the thing.
I for the not for the whole thing. I mean, like the people did their own work. It's like I started it, and then I collected the people, and then the people it just became its own thing, right? Like I was not driving it anymore in any capacity. It was done by the different teams and all of the different people who took like responsibility for certain parts of the process. But the thing is, I just disappeared towards the end. Like I was so wrapped up in Qomp. wasn't there to like carry a part of the load.
Right.
Which felt really shit, which I felt really, really horrible about for a long time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I still do. I mean, it's fine. It's what I shouldn't do. It's like a bad thing to do. So I think it's okay. I feel bad for it. Yeah.
Okay. I
Like
should have asked.
in that sense, I don't.
Sorry. Yeah.
I don't feel responsible for it. I feel like I didn't help as much as I should have.
Right. Yeah, I can relate to that sensation too. Yeah, it's hard, but hey, it turned out really well. It's quite amazing, a quite amazing bundle.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Okay. I should have asked this before asking the visual novel thing. So I would we would have ended on a higher note.
It's okay. It's not always fun.
No, I know. Yeah, making games is harder than people think.
Yeah. Sometimes even like when I'm working on the visual novel and I'm like really fucking excited, I like suddenly like look at myself and go like, what am I doing? What the fuck is this? Like why am I like how what happened that I can do this right now? And like, should I do it?
Yeah, you should. You completely should.
Yeah. I mean, I have to. I'm too deep in. I can't get back out now. But it's like, it's very weird.
Yeah, but it's kind of magical too. Like you making something that it's alive in a way, and it becomes an alive thing in other people's like minds and hearts and etc. So it's a really weird sensation.
Yeah, and I don't know, like there's this like cycle for me where after I feel like is a very normal thing, but like after I finish something, I'm dead in direct relation to how long it took to make. So for Qomp, it was like 6 months or like 4 months pretty much exactly of like I just cannot make games. And now I'm back in it again, and I know like in 4 months I'm gonna be dead. And it's just like, why am I doing this to it? Like I know I'm gonna feel horrible in 4 months if I do this, but I can't stop.
It's like the postpartum thing, like when you have a baby. I have told that like you're depressed after.
Yeah, the post-launch depression.
Yeah,
and it's like it's gonna come, and I'm like running towards it because I have nothing else to run towards. I don't know. It's a weird. It's weird to make games.
That's I like that as a final conclusion. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe not so sad and self-loathing and more confused. That's better.
Yeah, I think that can be like the title of the article. Like, stop at Wombat. Making games is weird. I like it.
It is.
Amazing. Well, I'm gonna stop now. And I'm gonna thank you like on the record because you're amazing.
No worries. Thanks for interviewing and thanks for like writing about this stuff. That's pretty cool.
Sure. Like I feel like that's my responsibility towards like small games. Someone has to talk about them.
Yeah. Press over.